Good afternoon YouTube, Harrison101 back at it once again with a brand new video, and on this Harrison101 video I'm going to be talking about the Indian Grand Prix, which is actually on BBC One right now in case you missed it, as I'm recording this at 2:50, so by the time it's on YouTube you probably have missed it, but yeah, it was live this morning. I watched it live, and a very unique atmosphere. I mean, I really enjoy. Yeah, you can see I'm playing the actual India circuit in the game, which was the first look we really had at it. We didn't know what it was going to be like actually in real life, and the track was definitely rushed, in my opinion, but it looked great. The atmosphere was great, and the Indian people who were there as the marshals and as their supporters, and the people around the track, they were all great, and I think it provided a really nice atmosphere. It came across really well on television. They really should definitely keep this track going because it's a great track. First of all, I love the technical bit in the middle. I love the it's like these days all modern day new tracks have to have one massive straight in them somewhere. In this one, it's got this massive, like 1 mile long straight, like 20 seconds into a lap, and it's like 15 seconds of full throttle. It's a great lengthy straight, and the technical section in the middle is really nice. If only Felipe Massa found it as nice during the race and in qualifying, but we'll deal with that later on. Start was a bit crazy. Mark Webber actually had a good start from second place. He thought he had half a chance of getting Vettel into turn one, but Vettel had a similar start, and Webber couldn't pass his teammate. Alonso tried a daring move around the outside because once again he had a much better start than Mark Webber did, but unfortunately he had a bit of a downshift issue. When he shifted down, he lost the front end grip of the car and ended up being passed by Jenson Button. Not Jenson Button, sorry. He ended up being passed, and he lost the position via that manoeuvre. Vettel once again pulling away from the start and all the way to victory, led I think every single lap, and in the process breaking Nigel Mansell's record of most laps led over the course of a season. I can't remember what the exact number is, but Sebastian Vettel is just truly dominant in this sport right now, and once again it's like no one could be in the same postcode as him. Me and my dad came up with a theory when we were talking about this, and that Sebastian Vettel is just that little bit better than all the other guys in the field, but the other five in that major six, Mark Webber, Lewis Hamilton, Felipe Massa, Fernando Alonso, Jenson Button, they're all about on the same level. Maybe Jenson's a little bit above them, but since they're all too busy scrapping with each other, especially Hamilton and Massa, it just gives Vettel that chance to pull away. It's like Jenson Button is like the solid number 2 guy in Formula 1 right now, because he's the only guy who can even give Vettel half a race right now. Besides Sebastian Vettel, Jenson Button's probably the next best thing, but Vettel's just cuts and above everybody else right now, and I have no idea why. And if people say it's the car, they're partly right, but at the same time, if it was purely the car, Mark Webber would be so much higher than where he's doing right now. I mean, 4th place for Mark Webber, it's not a bad result for him, but at the same time, you have to wonder, for a guy of his quality and ability, he should be up there, challenging Vettel for race wins if they're in the same car. Something clearly isn't right with Mark Webber's driving ability or mindset, because he should be up there challenging the top 2. As was Lewis Hamilton, who should have been right up there. He had a 3-place grid penalty for ignoring yellow flags in free practice, so he started 5th instead of 2nd. And once again, he was caught up in a battle with Felipe Massa, and at turn 5, at the midway point in the race, he collided. He went for a pass down the inside of turn 5 after the corner after the hairpin after that massive straight, and Hamilton claims he was going for the pass, but he backed off going into the corner. Massa's gone round the outside, and there's been contact, and Massa's spun the car and taken damage to the side pod, and Hamilton had to get his front ring replaced. Very interesting accident there. I mean, every angle told a different story. I wasn't quite sure about it, but my first impression was it was a racing incident, and there shouldn't have been a penalty handed out. I think the penalty would have been way too harsh on Hamilton, considering he already had to go through the pits. to change his front wing, but instead the stewards decided that Felipe Massa had to take a penalty. Now, after the race, they'd shown an angle where Massa had actually seen Hamilton coming through, but at the same time, if he backed off, he'd have given up the position to Hamilton going around the corner. So it was a lose-lose no matter which way you cut it. It was a very awkward situation, and I don't think any penalty should have been handed out at all, but I think Felipe Massa was given the short end of the stick purely because Hamilton had to go through the pits for a new front wing. What's quite interesting was after the race was that Hamilton was interviewed by Lee Mackenzie of the BBC Formula 1 team and was asked about the Felipe Massa incident, and Hamilton looks sad. He looks sad, he looks depressed, he looks like he shouldn't be on the grid right now. I mean, he just broke up with his girlfriend, Nicole Scherzinger of the Pussycat Dolls, his quite famous girlfriend, and that might be part of the reason. Another part of the reason is that he said that, if anybody's read his book, My Story by Lewis Hamilton, check it out if you're a racing fan, it's a good read. In that book he talks about how a few years ago he was best friends with Felipe Massa, and they had a really good relationship. They used to play video games together, they used to hang out in the paddock together, and they were very close friends. And in this interview with Lee Mackenzie, Hamilton goes on about how him and Massa are not even on speaking terms anymore. They haven't been speaking properly for months, and he was talking about how all the drivers were at the front, giving a 1-minute silence for the deaths of Dan Walden and Marco Simoncelli. Hamilton put his arm around Massa and said, "Good luck for the race," and I don't think Massa took that too well. I think he kind of took it as maybe a sarcastic or a tongue-in-cheek kind of comment, which I don't think it was. But it's sad in a way, because Eddie Jordan brought up a great point about this, how these guys they all have a bond, because they're the 24 guys out there racing 19, 20 times a year, and he said, yes, of course, you drive hard on the track and you drive wheel to wheel with your opponent, but at the same time, you shouldn't try and lose the friendship, because you guys are a bond and you all have to travel together at the end of the day. And I think that's a great point. And Hamilton, I think, is a very nice guy when he's not joking around and being silly and saying dumb things, which he has done in the past. I think he comes across like a very nice fella when he's modest, feet on the ground. I think Felipe Massa is a bit of a hothead, and I think he hasn't taken Hamilton very well, because they've clashed with each other 4 or 5 times now this season. They had a montage of it during the BBC F1 coverage. All the incidents, like at Monaco, like at Silverstone, like at Japan, like at Singapore, when they've had accidents and they've clashed, and when there's been awkward moments. And the interview at Singapore where Massa had tapped Hamilton on the arm and said, "That's how you win a world championship," after that collision they had in Singapore. It's kind of sad in a way, because you don't want to see guys falling out, but it does make for great television. So yeah, congratulations to Sebastian Vettel, congratulations to Jenson Button, Fernando Alonso rounding out the podium, and a shout out to Sergio Perez for coming in 10th after starting 20th, up 10 places to get a point for BMW Sauber, while his teammate Kamui Kobayashi fails to finish and hasn't scored a point in 8 races, and that includes his home track of Suzuka. Quite disappointing for him, not good enough. That might open up a seat for somebody like Nico Hülkenberg, who showed some frustration, being the reserve driver for Force India. Interesting how Formula 1 drivers these days are now getting state backing from governments because they want to see him at the top of the sport, and these guys are getting nods over some of the guys who are genuinely extremely talented, like Nico Hülkenberg, who I remember in his rookie season for Williams put the car on pole at Brazil last year, which kind of shocked the whole Formula 1 world in a sense. So it's interesting, it's hard to get a seat in Formula 1, and it's odd to see guys get government back in, they're pushed to the moon, and they might not necessarily be very good. That's another interesting thing to talk about, which I might talk about more in the end of season review I've got planned, at the end of the month, because there's only 2 races to go now. Abu Dhabi in 2 weeks' time, the sort of transitioning date and light race, which I think will be very interesting to watch. And like I said, congrats to the podium guys, great race, enjoy the circuit very much, enjoy the atmosphere. I think India's on to a winner with Formula 1. Let me know what you thought of the Indian Grand Prix in the comments below. Did you agree with the Hamilton-Massa incident? Is Sebastian Vettel the next Michael Schumacher? And what did you think of India in general? Do you think that India's onto a winner with the track and the atmosphere and things like that? So next time on Formula 1, round 18, Abu Dhabi. I've been Harrison101. Thank you very much for watching, and sayonara.